Hello. So, this week's live is going to feature a brother from another genre, Arjun Vagale. Him and I go back so far. He sort of helped. Hello, hi. He helped launch Techno in India, actually. One of the figureheads of the scene. And so, yes, welcome to another edition of these weekly Instagram lives. And I'm talking to, as I said before, Arjun Vagale. And I hope I said his name wrong. I've never been able to pronounce it. It's so bad. Hopefully you'll correct me. Some mutual friends called him Vagel or Waggle. He's in Goa and has got a really, really, really shitty internet connection because of this cyclone. Hey!
Hello, love.
You're here. Hello.
I'm here.
Your connection's not that bad. I thought it was going to be terrible because of the cyclone.
Yeah, well, it's been pretty bad. One sec. I was running a couple of speed tests and things like that, and it was like really, really slow. So, hi everybody. Hi, Nerm.
If you pixelate, we'll just continue until you go dead, and then we'll try and reconnect.
Exactly. So I'm just want to say that if it dies on you, then it's not my fault. It's just like it's been really shit. It's been raining like crazy the last couple of days.
It's
And
almost like there's just no let up with world events. It's like, here's one thing, fadak, and here's another thing, fadak. It's quite mad.
man, what's up with 2020? Like it's really it's a really fucked up year.
It totally is. But I mean, you know, having said that, I quite like some of the. I mean, this is going to be really weird trying to put a positive spin on this. Hi, Raja. Hi, Todd. Everybody's saying hello.
Hey, Todd, what's up?
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, yesterday's whole blackout was an interesting one. Because of the whole music industry blackout stuff. And I'm not, you know, that was quite fascinating to me in the UK because I was just like, you know, I had lots of difficult conversations with fellow, you know, artists in the UK that happened to be Asian and also working in underground music. Did that happen to you at all? Did you have any conversations with people about this whole issue too? In the techno
Yeah,
world?
actually, I've been talking to a lot of people, and I'll be a little real with you, Num. You know, the thing is, I've had these experiences myself so many times over the years.
Yeah.
That, you know, I mean, that's why it's like, fuck you. It's about time we actually stood.
I love the fact that it glitched out as soon as it glitched out as soon as you said "fuck you." That was amazing. This is gonna ping around like crazy, isn't it? I mean, as soon as we got into the good bit, it just freaked out, bro. Oh, it's pinging like crazy, bro. Hang up and call you back because we just got interesting. That's such a shame, right? I mean, there is a cyclone going on, so I'm not surprised that the connectivity is going to be a little bit patchy. Let me try and find him. Hello, everyone. We're going live with Arjun Vagale. It's bass meets techno, but we're old friends, old brothers in arms that go back. You know, we go back a long way to when things started bubbling up in India. Come on, Arjun.
Hey, sorry, guys.
As soon as you said "fuck you," it just glitched out.
Yeah, Instagram hates me because I hate Instagram.
Yeah. So yeah, you said you've experienced a lot of kind of discriminatory shit, basically.
Yeah, I mean, as a brown skinned person, I've experienced a lot of it over the years, and I think it's about time we all stood up and said "fuck you" to the entire system because the system is, in fact, pretty fucked up. And I think why the Black Lives Matter thing is so powerful is because all the music that we love, it
It's from black
originates
people.
exactly. And you know, and something really stupid that I've been hearing is, why don't we support this and that and things closer to home and all? Listen, we're fucking supporting whatever we can. But this also matters to people back home in India is because, I'm sorry, I love techno, I love jazz. All these genres originated from black people.
Totally. I'm glad it froze at the end of that sentence. But I was going to say it's the same. It's the same with drum and bass, and with. In fact, you could argue it's the same with rock and roll. Like it goes all like everything starts has a black origin, you know. And it's glitched out again. Ah, you're back. Yes, you're back. I can see your movement. Can you hear me? Mm.
Jesus. Yeah. All right. So this shit's gonna keep going on.
Insane. That's
No,
cool.
I'm
That's
sorry.
cool. Well, you
I,
got it in sentences. It's totally fine.
Yeah, well, basically, the aftermath of the cyclone is that everything comes to a standstill. So, honestly, I don't think there's electricity. Luckily, we have an inverter, so we have electricity at home, but I don't see any electricity outside. So, there's possible that there is no electricity in the grid, which means the internet is shit, which means this is life living in India, in Goa, in a village. I'm
Dude,
sorry, but
when I moved central London to this beautiful place you see here, I couldn't get connectivity. It's better in Goa when I was recording in Goa. It's
I don't know
nuts.
about that
But you know, I'm
anymore. Hey,
glad.
that nice house, Nerm. I can see. I can see the deck sensor and vinyl and yeah, nice, looking
Exactly,
good,
exactly.
man. I was
But yeah,
supposed to
I
be
mean,
in London right now. Anyway, sorry. Let's get back to it.
yeah,
More.
no. I mean, dude, I wish you, you know, I was meant to have been in India with Pavan like 2 weeks ago. You know,
Oh,
speaking
okay.
about, you know, people influenced by, you know, like with rap music and stuff. Yeah, and it's all just on pause. But you know, first world problems, as we say. Like, you know, we're lucky to be here making this music, which is quite nice.
Ab- Absolutely. I think we all built the scene from nothing, and we owe a lot of people. We owe a lot to the community to actually helped bring this music to us. And I mean, music saved my life. Music is everything to me. It's defined who I am as a human being, and I owe a lot to that community that helped bring that music to me. And I think
Yeah.
we all need to stand in solidarity with what's going on because it's fucking atrocious.
See, what was fascinating to me was that with drum and bass in particular, it's become so mainstream and big from its original roots, which was obviously black music. It was what it was, and that it's interesting that people kind of forget where it came from at the moment. And do you think that has a do you think have you had the same problem in techno, or is it, you know, are people still able to recognize its roots?
No, absolutely. I think that's the whole problem, you see. And I don't want to diss anybody and be negative, but the truth is that sadly, the young generation don't really know. Um,
Hmm.
the fact is, you know, not only is this genre or all these genres of electronic music that they're not very old, but at the same time, you know, they were started in the late 80s, you know, mid 80s, I would say actually, when the technology allowed this music to happen. But a lot of those people were, you know, poor people who didn't have money, went to secondhand.
Yeah, it's fine. I can hear you. Carry on. Carry on. Carry on. Yeah, keep going. Keep going.
Because back then everything was done on tape and everything was you needed these $1 million studios and stuff like that. So these guys went to the pawn shops and bought these shitty 303s and 808s and 909s that real musicians as such, you know, real musicians bought and said, no, this a TV 303 doesn't sound like a fucking bassist. It's shit. I'm gonna throw it. But a guy in Chicago decided to buy it. A black African American man decided to buy it, take it home, and turn the resonance fully and play with the filter, and Acid House was born. Now, of course, some can say that Acid House was actually born in India, you
Charanjit.
know, exactly. It was
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
born, but let's just say that DJ Pierre took it to the world.
The ambassador of it, essentially. Yeah, yeah,
Of this music, because if it weren't for people like him doing this and countless others in every other genre, we wouldn't be where we are today as a business, as an industry, making millions
Yeah.
and billions for a lot of white, black, yellow people. We need to recognize that fundamental point.
Yeah, totally, totally. I mean, that's the other side of it, I think. And I think that because you and I are both so old school, maybe it's we go, you know, we take this shit to our hearts. You know what I mean? Like
We
actually,
do.
we
I mean,
created this stuff.
it really, really bothers me. It really, and I'm not just saying this, it actually pisses the fuck out of me, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Go
I
ahead,
think.
sorry.
Yeah, no, totally. I was interesting. I was talking to a lot of people about what I can do, and this is the thing: is that looking at, you know, at Black Lives Matter in the UK and what I could actively do. I'm representing kind of South Asian underground, well, not Asian underground, but South Asian artists on doing underground music in the UK, and there's not many people doing that. You know what I mean?
And you've
And
been doing
the
that,
flip
Nerm, for
side
many,
is,
many years. You've been pushing that
sure.
agenda for many, many years.
And the flip side is that now I think I'm able to actually perhaps call out, say, labels that only have one, like sort of one skin tone in their lineup, or radio stations that only have one skin tone in their lineup, regardless of their genre, which to me,
Right.
I think is a problem because these, you know, all these stations and stuff seem to be getting paler and paler and paler, even though the music gets blacker and blacker. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah, yeah, totally.
this weird thing that I think that that's probably one thing that I could probably help with is that, you know, and even then I'm still looking for other ways to actually be an ally because no one's fucking perfect. There's loads more work to do, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And nobody's pretending to be perfect, but let's call a spade a spade. You know, at the end of the day, there's a lot of shit going down, and racism is very, very real. Every single time I leave my country and enter a European country or an American or the
Yeah,
Americas, I'm racially profiled every single time, and
yeah.
it's happened not just at airports. It's happened at clubs.
It
You know,
happens every fucking where,
it happened fucking
everywhere,
everywhere. Yeah, yeah,
daily,
and
daily. It
exactly.
was.
Has it frozen again? Fucking hell! Sorry.
Go on, carry on, bro. Because I spoke over you. There's a delay. I think we're good. Yeah, carry on, carry on.
Okay, cool, cool. Yeah. So yeah, basically what I was trying to say was that, you know, when you experience this, and obviously now, like, the experiences you have versus the experiences I have as brown people is very different. You live there. You were surrounded. You know, isn't quite sure how to deal with it. It actually it's actually a solid blow, you know, and it makes you feel really uncomfortable, and you know, you don't know why it's happening, and you don't realize, because the thing is, we speak English, we speak the same language. When I walk into a venue or a club or an airport or wherever that there are white people or various ethnicities, it doesn't, to me, we're not different in any way until there might be a mirror and I see there's a white person and I'm a brown person. That's the only time I feel different. But apart from that, we speak the same language. Okay, we are educated the same way, if not better, and we think the same way. We're all worldly people. We all know what's going on in the world. We're, I mean, you know, it's just a really fucked up thing, as to somebody looking at you and be like, oh, you play techno in India? Like, fuck
Yeah,
you. Yeah, I
yeah.
do.
It's, you know, it's fascinating though because I think there was a friend of mine who's a really big hip hop DJ called Caper, and she was raised in England and went through all of that racist shit and got so much hassle growing up, and she lives in New York now. And she put up a fascinating post, was like, yes, you know, I was called a packy every day and I was beaten up, but still that doesn't compare to how it must be to be a black person in America. So instead of co-opting
Absolutely.
that racism, she was just like, you know, there's a certain understanding of where that comes from. And it was interesting. My first tour to India, um, it felt so comfortable because I was surrounded by brown people. It was nuts. I
Yeah,
was like, ah, it was just such an ease. And then the weird flip side of that was when I remember an Indian fan came to a Shiva Sound System night years and years ago, and one of our crew was mixed race. And she
Right.
was like, "Oh, when I Shiver sound system on, it was a collective at that point." And I
Right.
was like,
Yeah.
"We're on. That's him." And it was a black dude playing. She's like, him burst out laughing, so I threw her out the club. I was like, "What is that?" So there was a certain assumption or privilege that of racial hierarchy from India out that I was quite shocked by when I first got there. That was something that messed me up a little bit, because I was like,
Man,
"Shit, that's an odd perspective to have."
man, I'll say this out clear, and I might get shit for it, but as Indians, we're fucking racist within our own country. A man from North India will look down upon a man from South India because of his skin color, and that's a fact. And that's what I mean. There's racism right in our own country. So for people to talk
Mm.
shit, they need to look within. No, absolutely. And I know this very, very deeply, because all my life, as my growing up years, my dad was in the hotels. We moved around a lot, so I've lived in North India, and I've spent the better part of my life in South India, in Bangalore. you know and I've seen firsthand racism between Indians, between friends of mine who were darker skinned and friends of mine who were lighter skinned, or girls who were darker skinned and girls who were lighter skinned, how much attention they would get or not get. So, and it's shit. It's absolutely like, and now, and I know that it's nothing in comparison to what's going on in the US, because we lived in New York, for a couple of years, and so we've seen that too. And
Yeah.
no, I have to say this. When we moved to New York, like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, it was a very, very different place to last day when I visited New York. It's a completely different country. And it's scary to see, because, my wife studied there and she lived there, and she's always wanted to move back to America, to New York, not to America, to New York, because New York's not considered America, right?
Mm.
And we did that, and whatever. And last year we decided, let's go back to New York and spend the summer there, because we've got so many friends, and just like hang out. And dude, it was a completely different country, different city, because the racism
Mm.
level was next level. And we had rented an apartment in Manhattan, and being the only brown people in there, everybody from the doorman to the tenants just looked at us funny, looked at me up and
Yeah.
down next to the elevator and all that. And straight up, I mean, they're not going to say shit, but you can read their
Yeah.
eyes, you know the sentiment.
It was, yeah, totally. I think it was interesting looking at New York and sort of say the South Asian immigrant experience in the US, because there's this whole idea of a perfect minority. We're Indian, therefore we're hardworking, we're all doctors, we achieve much, we're basically middle class. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that in itself can drive people to look at other darker people, perhaps with more, in a more negative light, which is kind of in itself fucked up. I think it's very much a class thing as well. And
yeah,
that's definitely
absolutely,
the case,
absolutely.
over here.
Yeah,
Yeah. But I think, what? I think maybe, one of the things that drew me to club culture particularly was the fact there was a sense of equality, at least on the fucking dance floor. You know what I mean? Like, even if I was the only brown kid at either a gay house club in Birmingham or a drum and bass back room at a huge techno gig, it was dark and everyone was on the same sort of level. There was a combination of different, sexualities, races, cultures, all there for the music. And that unifying factor just was glorious to me.
that's the beautiful thing about music, and that's, I think, one of the main reasons why we're in it, because it is a unifying factor. And no, I'll be straight, I never had those
You never had those experiences. What was that? You got cut off just then. Huh.
have clubbing experiences or sharing a dance floor with various multicultural people, but all my life, so
How old were you when that happened?
when was the first gig? But my first international gig probably was when I was maybe, I don't know, 24, you know? Yeah, 23, 24. And we play,
Wow.
and
Wow. Okay.
yeah, and it was the first time I was playing abroad, and we were playing in Paris. Oh no, we were playing in Lille in France. And it was an amazing experience, because it was like, you know, the first time you go abroad for, I mean, I obviously once been abroad before, but it was the first time you're going as an artist abroad on an artist visa, and you're playing for white people, predominantly white people, and they're all losing it. And you're like, wow, this is kind of cool because it's a completely different audience. Okay, over the years, one gets jaded and that shit doesn't matter anymore, blah, 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 but it's fine. But I mean, the thrill is still there. But the fact is that it's what you just said. When you're playing or when you're on the floor, nobody energy. That's all we care about. We don't give a shit about what somebody looks like or what gender or whatever they are.
That's why dark rooms are the best rooms.
Dude,
But
I love
also,
dark rooms.
it's so fascinating because I remember you've just reminded me of an interview I did like in 2010. So we were on Radio 1 and we did this interview for a drum and bass station. And everyone was like, what's India like? Because D and I would tour India, Shiva Sound System all the time. And the answer was like, India's full of brown people, dude. And it was just fucking hilarious because it was just like, it was that whole... Because it was true. Going from like a room in the UK to a room full of Indian people was like, this is amazing. I was speaking to my crew. Do you know what I mean? It was the inverse of what
Yeah.
you talked about. It was like, what the fuck? Hey Anushka, hi. Arjun's connection is rubbish. He's in Goa post cyclone, and I'm talking to Arjun the Lego man, basically.
Is it really bad?
Well, you look like you're pixelated quite nicely, but at least we're having a conversation, which is a good thing.
Maybe I should just keep moving then. So I'm just
Why would you
blurry
do
all
that
the time.
and just freak out your processor?
Yeah, that's it. Sometimes you need to freak things out. It's like shake the system, right? You got to shake it up.
So that's interesting, right? So you basically played techno to dance floors in India, full of the same color people, and yet you still felt that unified vibe. Like that's quite an interesting perspective.
Yeah, I mean, we did, of course, have a few. I mean, I'm a career DJ, so which means that I've built my way up playing residencies, and obviously when you
No
play,
shit. Okay.
exactly, it's that vibe. So playing
Mm.
residencies, you obviously had various people in the club, and we used to get. I mean,
Oh,
playing in
dude,
Delhi.
you mean residencies in clubs where you have to play like pop music and shit, and then go to whatever that kind of stuff?
Well, I've done it all.
Yeah.
That's
Because
that,
I mean, I remember getting thrown out of like hotels, like 5-star hotels for DJing what I wanted to play. And I got kicked out of the finest establishments in India. It was wonderful.
well, I that's how I started playing. That's how I started my sort of DJing career, was playing at clubs, predominantly in hotels, because of licensing issues in India. Back then you could only have clubs in hotels.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I started it. That's how I cut my teeth and like got into the and you know what, the truth of the matter is, all that I did back then taught me how to read a dance floor, and that's why I'm so good at what I do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. Because once you've got them on your side, you can take them anywhere.
Exactly.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I would totally agree with that. Because
Yeah.
once you've got the audience, you can then take them on a journey and you're away.
Absolutely.
100%.
And
Yeah, I think it's a lost art. Look at us, the old motherfuckers talking about it. It's like, oh, in my day, we had to do this.
dude, we are old, man. I keep thinking that, oh God, I hate to remind myself, but I do now. Like, we're old, but it's all right. We've got experience, experience.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. And, we're comfortable and we can still do what we love. So this is the other thing with your your odd recordings, right? That's your whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Who'd have thought as a fucking as a resident DJ in a hotel playing Britney Spears that years later you'd have a techno label in India?
I never played Britney Spears.
Fuck off. Everyone
drew,
played Britney Spears.
dude, I drew the line. So I had a very good strategy, Nerm, and this is the reason why a lot of clubs I played that did well, because I always told the owner or the manager of the hotel or the club that if we need to stand out, then we need to stop playing this shit. So apart from maybe one residency, which was probably my first ever residency, apart from that, I never played any Hindi music regularly, Hindi or Punjabi or Bollywood, at none of my residencies, because I figured a strategy of like telling the owners that You know, let's be
We've got to be
different.
different.
Let's be cool. Yeah, I'll play the best top 40 shit, but let's not play this cheap shit, you know? Let's not get people rowdy. I'll play the good stuff and you will be cool and we will be the cool club. And they were like, okay, let's try it. And it worked
That's
because
awesome.
I played the music, whatever, the way I played it, I used to mix really quick. So I would play like 2 minutes of a track and then into the next. So people wouldn't get a chance to get bored, right? And back then I was like really into this whole scratching thing and stuff like that. I was like, you know, into the DMC thing and whatever. But it actually, as a strategy, it worked because I rarely was ever told by any of my employers what to play. Because
Yeah.
I knew if I have the dance floor full, nobody's going to fuck with me.
No one could.
And that's what I need to do.
Yeah. Do you know what's
Absolutely.
fascinating? I think you and I have had you and I have had inverse experiences, because at Glastonbury at 4 a.m. in the one area of the festival, which was kind of the only back in those days. I mean, like 2003, there was one area, 2004 maybe. D and I were playing at the only area that was then open, and I dropped a drum and bass remix of a Britney Spears track just for the fucking fun of it, and a woman from the crowd came up and slapped me across the face and said, "Don't you dare play Britney again." So I had the complete fucking inverse, right? I had the complete inverse, right? I was like taking a risk and then getting apart for it.
Yeah.
And then equally, like in India, I remember this vividly. Now you've mentioned this. Clubs suddenly had a no Hindi policy. The cool clubs, remember that? They sort of post that whole period. That was
you can thank me for that.
So when I would pull out a remix that was really good of something that had a Hindi vocal in, I'd get yanked off the decks.
Yeah.
So it was completely the inverse. So it was like if there was a drum and bass remix that was fucking amazing and would smash it anywhere, I'd get pulled off for it, and not in a good way.
Yeah, but you see, no, it's kind of like it's sort of it's the opposite thing, right? Because the clubs in Delhi were only playing Hindi and Bollywood, right? It was only that for somebody like me, and this is just like a personal thing, but I didn't grow up to a lot of Bollywood music at home. You know, my parents didn't listen to that much Hindi music at home. They were listening to the Beatles and delivering the Led Zeppelin and stuff like that. So that was my thing, and I moved to Delhi. You know, at an age where I was already a DJ, but I in my mind, I already knew my sound at the time. And Hindi music wasn't in my vocabulary. So I didn't know about that music. And you know, and as good little DJs in 1999, we would get 6-month-old copies of DJ Mag and Mix Mag, and that's all we cared about. Ooh, what is that? What's Pete Tong playing? What's Todd Terry playing?
So
what's
fascinating.
Paul playing? You know, like and we aspired to be that. You know, that's the truth, man. I mean, end of the day, because that's where for us that was club culture, Gatecrasher and Cream and Ministry, and you know, I'm talking about the noughties.
It's so funny because all of that was the antithesis. For me, it was like, right, I'm going to go even more underground than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which was fascinating because I was just like, you know, I wanted the anti-house, basically. I wanted anything that wasn't house music was mine. Like anything, you know, breaks or bass or drum and bass, obviously, jungle, that kind of stuff. And that's the thing. It all went kind of full circle for you when you discovered or became a lover of techno openly. Yeah. Because now I think we have more in common now musically than we did back then.
Yeah, totally. Sorry, go ahead. No, sorry.
Because of the appreciation for old production techniques, acid house, for example, coming out of Detroit, acid house morphing into essentially jungle, drum and bass, and all these genres that came out of it. There's a lineage there you can see, you know, that goes all the way to Detroit.
See, you know, Nerm, I'll tell you the funny thing. You know, for many years, I mean, obviously, this is India. We're talking India dial-up modem connection time. We didn't have access
like you're on right now, right?
Well, pretty much like fucking I am right now. You know, this is like India 1996. This is exactly how it used to be.
Live wire, yeah.
Fucking Soul Seek, man. Soul Seek, bro.
So I mean, I was never on. So I went from Napster to then just hardcore pirating my friends' collections.
Yeah, well, you see, we went through it all because. Like I was saying, man, we'd had nothing. So even the history for a lot of electronic music, I learned that much later in life. You know, I couldn't go to a club and listen to somebody playing electronic music. It didn't exist. It did not exist.
Yeah, totally.
You know, I mean, you would have the stray international DJ come down to India. Maybe this is even, I'm talking about like pre-fucking Bacardi Blast and Smirnoff Experience. You know, back in the day, you remember those, right?
Of course.
This is pre, exactly. This is pre all that. This is like 1994, you know, or 1994. Where do you consume music? MTV. That's it. And you were lucky if you saw a video of Apollo 448 talking about dub, and you're like, holy shit, what is that? But I can't go to a music store and buy it because they don't have it.
Yeah, and it certainly wasn't on vinyl, which is what you needed to actually mix them.
Bro, I mean, let's not even get to vinyl, because if you know my struggle with vinyl and therefore my immense love for it even today, and like, you know, it was a huge struggle. All of it was a huge struggle. Just getting music was a huge struggle. And my early days when I was DJing with friends of mine and stuff like that, we would literally record stuff of MTV because we wanted the newest track, and that was the only way to get it.
Yeah.
Or there used to be a couple of music stores that sold pirated CDs, but they had no track list. So you didn't know what you were listening to and what you liked. So there was no way for me to hunt for more. If I heard this crazy track by XYZ, I didn't know it was XYZ. I didn't know the name of the track. And so it was this curious situation of, I love this music, but I cannot
don't know what the fuck
it
is. Dude,
I don't know what the fuck it is.
It reminds me a lot of the pirate radio experience in the UK. Like the UK pirate stuff. You were like, what's this tune? And it was like I think pre-internet, you'd have to sort of struggle your way through. Hi, Kunal, by the way. Kunal, Lodia says hello.
Hey, Kunal. Yeah. Hey, what's up?
You know, but that was the magic of it. Trying to find who did what in a magazine. And fuck, dude, I got a story. So you know Koshin, I do, right? You obviously know that tune.
Of course.
Right, big fucking vocal drum and bass track, was everywhere in 1999. And I spent weeks trying to find the fucking thing. After hearing it once at a rave and losing my mind. I was like, what is this? And I couldn't find it for love or money until it fucking came out properly. But that was part of the joy. Like, I was saying this to, you know, Revolver Club. So you hooked me up with Revolver Club to talk about this. So I told Arushka. Is it Arushka?
Arushka, yeah, Arushka.
Arushka, yeah.
Arushka,
so because it looks like Anushka with a spelling error. So I want to make sure I've got it correct. So I told her the story, like, you know, growing up from a really humble background in Birmingham, in like, you know, at school, being unable to afford vinyl because, like, it was like 10 quid a record, right? And who the fuck had the money for that then? I was pissed.
Absolutely.
So I had a way of getting my vinyl while I was at school, as I was an aspiring DJ, because it's not like it was now. You had to get every single record you played. You had to like struggle for every piece of vinyl you got. You'd fight to get it. So your tune selection was second to none. Like, you had to make sure you were investing correctly, because that was like a month's worth of school lunches that you were putting into one record or something, you know?
I hear you, brother. I hear you.
It was something else. So I had this one scam where I went to a family planning clinic and I got a box of condoms. And I would get this, I would get the sort of the sample sticker off it and peel it off. And I was wearing a school uniform at the time. And I'd take this box of condoms to Boots, which is like a big pharmacy chain. And I'd say to them, like, look, you know, my mom found this. She beat the shit out of me. I'm in lots of trouble. I need to get this. I need to return these. And they were like, fuck, we're really sorry, but we can't give you a refund. But here's a gift voucher, right? So I got a £10 Boots gift voucher. And in those days, because I used to know that you used to have to manually type in the price for the music CDs they sold, because they sold singles and albums on CD in a different department. And I knew that I had to manually type in the code to then put in a price. So I get 10 random albums and 10 singles and swap the price tags over. So I'd then go get 10 shitty albums, like now hits whatever the fuck, or whatever, or Status Quo or something. I was going to say Queen, but Queen Rock. But you know, some anything, whatever. Britney, whatever. Actually, Britney wasn't around then. Who was it? Fuck, something, some
Spice Girls.
Shaken and Waterman. Even I think it's maybe before Spice Girls. I think it was Spice Girls was 96 now. So by
96,
then,
correct.
oh no, maybe it was Spice Girls era. Yeah, maybe it was. And Bewitched and all that fucking tatty.
Yeah.
So I get 10 albums, right, from this one box of condoms, take all the price tags off, go to HMV over the road, and say I was given these as a birthday present, not to my taste. And I get £100 worth of HMV gift vouchers. And then that's how I got my vinyl.
Dude, that's a legit fucking scam. Legit.
That's a hustle to get your
That's
records, man.
that's a serious fucking hustle. Wow.
Yeah,
man. Wow. That's serious work, bro. But I hear you. I mean, dude, oh fuck. I wish we had a fucking HMV, because what I used to do, now let me tell you my story of how I used to get vinyl. Right? So they would
Sanel's saying we can still pull this trick off, bro.
What's Sanel saying? What up,
Sanel? Pull off this trick.
What's up? There quite a few people there. What's up, guys? Hi, sorry. My internet sucks, so
Sulog is saying Wigfield. You're totally right. I returned
Wigfield, yes, Wigfield. Fucking hell. Saturday night. Oh, God. So let me tell you about my vinyl hustle, right? I used to be a resident DJ at clubs, and these clubs used to be in hotels. And so at one of these hotels that I was playing, one night I see a whole bunch of air hostesses. And I was like, what's going on? You know, on a like a Tuesday night or something. And I'm like, why are these chicks here on a fucking Tuesday? And 1 week, second week, and I let it go. I didn't think about it. And then the third, fourth week, they started coming in pretty regularly. And so, you know, they would come and request for tracks and stuff. And they'd have pretty decent taste, which is why then I started getting a little friendly with them. And then I realized that it wasn't just Wigfield. So then I realized these girls were staying in the hotel. And they were part of an airline crew that had made a deal staying in that hotel. And every fortnight they would come in, because in India back then, you didn't have flights every night in and out of the UK or Europe and stuff like that.
Right.
So I made friends with a couple of them, and they all had these things of coming to India. Two of them had these things of coming to India every fortnight. And we made a deal that I would get them drinks at the club at half price. If they would, I would give them a list of records, and they would go, and I would pay them for the vinyl. They would get me the vinyl, bring it, and I'd get them half price on drinks, and they would be happy because these girls used to come on a Tuesday. They had a layover, so they would stay there one extra day or whatever and get hammered. And obviously, we're spending a lot of money in the club, and the clubs I used to play at were in hotels and therefore very expensive. Yeah. But this deal worked out really well, and I started getting a regular supply of records every month.
That's amazing.
Fucking shit. Because I would see these DJ mags, blah, 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 and make these lists for these girls, and they would take it. And that hustle worked for a good 2.5 years.
That's amazing.
Like literally.
That's amazing.
And even after I stopped playing at that club, we would still keep this, because we would still do parties and stuff like that. They would still be like, oh, do you have a party? And my friends are coming and we're here, blah, blah, blah. I'd be like, yeah. And finally, email was a thing. So we would email them the list. But yeah, man. But like I say, every piece of vinyl is so precious, bro, because there's a story behind every single one of them.
100%. 100%. You know? I mean, there was, absolutely. Every single one was a fucking battle to get it.
Exactly.
And then when it didn't work in the rave, you're like, fuck. I spent all this time working on this. I got this piece of shit vinyl. I sweated blood, sweat, and tears for this fucking record, and no one cares. Fuck.
Bro, imagine my shit. Okay, so I'm playing in a fucking club where I have to play commercial music, and I've got like 5 new house records that are fucking hot all over the world, and I can't play them, so I have to fucking find my way to just throw one of them and see, oh shit, is it working? Or do you want me to go back to commercial stuff?
Mate.
You know, and I had to literally like slip it in every night until I would be like, you know, tell the regulars that, dude, you got to check out, listen to this track that I'm playing, and get them excited about it. And then they would start being like, oh man, play that track you played, man, last week. It was a fucking killer. I was like, okay, yeah, that's it.
Dude, it was all about getting at least 1 or 2 people on site and then switching them.
Exactly.
Because I remember, I think in 2002, I came to play Mykonos in Bombay. So I played Fire and Ice in Bombay in 2002, and then Mykonos in 2003. And I remember that like people were going wild but not knowing how to drum and bass in particular. Like, how do you dance to this? So I think at that point it was an MTV gig. I think they had the idea of hiring dancers to show people how to dance to it.
Yeah.
Which I think was pretty.
I think I remember this thing that you're talking about. Were they doing that? They were doing the MTV grind parties, but they were like super cool, you know, like super fucking cool.
Dude, I think I've got some. Hang on a second. I'm gonna just unplug this so I can go mobile. I'm gonna go to my record collection thing because I think I've got some promo shit from that still somewhere. Yeah, the MTV Just Grind in 2003.
Yeah, I totally remember. But again, see, Nerm, drum and bass was a very Delhi thing, thanks to the pundits, you know. So Bombay didn't know about drum and bass. Delhi knew about drum and bass.
But then, as soon as the pundits stopped making drum and bass, Bombay went to fucking house and techno. Oh, sorry, Delhi went to house and techno.
Well, that's because I came in, so somebody had to take over.
You came in and converted everybody.
No, I'm fucking kidding. I'm kidding. No, man. I owe a lot. I owe a lot to Gaurav and Tapan, and they're like, you know, they're my brothers. I love them, but if it wasn't for them, Delhi wouldn't have the scene it has today. They got them and Rummy. Them and Rummy are the two people who I credit for the electronic music explosion in Delhi, and it's because of those two guys that all us producers or the generation of producers that happened was because of them completely. So much love and respect to them. Seriously.
So Adu Bao is saying, so did Bangalore back as 2010, 2012. You're correct. We're talking before that.
Yes, absolutely.
We're talking way before that.
Way. We're old. We're old.
We are old. Arjun and I are old as fuck, basically. We are properly old.
Like white hair and everything, yeah.
Dude, my hair is ridiculous. This is ancient. Ancient. But
dude, I combed my hair for the first time for you today in like 2 months. So
I'm touched, bro. I washed for you today, so you know what I mean. I shaved.
You did. Good one, man.
But the thing, I mean, actually, someone's saying the guy with the doobly says Bombay still doesn't know about drum and bass. I don't know, man. Bombay's got a pretty healthy D&B scene, man.
No, amazing healthy scene.
Well, it did before this shit, but yeah.
Yeah, look, evolution is key, you know, and it's not about what happened, but it's about what's happening right now. And there are crews who are pushing so many different genres today, and like maximum love and respect to all of them, because it's like, you know,
100%.
Every penny makes a pound, and every single person in the business and the scene and who's pushing things today. And you know, man, fuck, I'll say this. I mean, I played all over the world now. India's got one of the hottest scenes on the fucking planet, you know, or had till this nonsense happened. But
well, you know, I say to a lot of my friends, because I still, you know, I'm lucky enough to keep returning to India and booking artists and taking artists to India. And I'm also lucky enough to have seen something go from the underground to the mainstream. Like Skrillex is a fucking great example. Like that was like niche as fuck. In fact, I remember Pavan from Foreign Beggars, who was on Skrillex's first EP, gave me that when I was on Radio 1. And then fast forward to fucking that whole thing. I'm like, this is nuts. You know, so seeing things from the underground going to the mainstream is a privilege to witness. But equally, like, I think in the sort of long view of it all, every single scene has ebbs and flows. But there's something about India that keeps making me excited. There's something about India that keeps, like, it has the feeling of early 90s London, where something new is about to fucking pop up.
It's the enthusiasm in the people, you know, and I think, like, generations have turned now. I mean, people I saw on the dance floor 10 years ago, I don't see them anymore, and I see younger people all the time. But they're very receptive, which is the
turning. Sorry, you're totally right. The turning point for me was like in 2006 when I played Blue Frog and I didn't recognize anyone on the dance floor. I didn't know anyone. I was like, oh shit, there's a whole new wave. Like these baby steps were like, they were incredible.
See, no, that's what I love about the Indian scene and about what we have or had rather, and it's still there, the dormant scene, let's call it. But you know, every city has a different vibe. You know, Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, Pune, Calcutta, they all have a very distinct vibe, and there are so many local crews in each of these cities that have helped build it up. And you know, I don't play too much anymore. Not like I used to be back in the day, a bungie traveling fucking 3 gigs a week and all. I don't do that shit anymore, man. But
Mate, the days
when
of lugging vinyl are fucking, thank God they're over, because that was hard.
man, I miss it. I've actually been thinking after lockdown, I'm gonna go back to playing only vinyl because I've been.
That's because you're fucking
I'm just,
privileged. You can say, huh, I'll take
you
this.
know, I'm just like, I've been cataloging and just getting all my, putting them in proper shelves and everything.
Do you know what, dude? I had a similar conversation, right, with D today, Decode, my Decode.
Right.
And like that's my
Right.
shelf and half it's in storage. So the two
Oh,
records you can
nice.
get on the floor, I just got
Mm.
back off him. And I was like, dude, I want to get my records back. In a similar fashion. Probably because like I'm stuck here and I'm like, I want to touch physical things now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I recently did a vinyl stream and you know, like I'll once in a while on a weekday or something just pull out some records and play them for myself and whatever. But I just like I'm having so much fun doing it. And listen, I love digital DJing and I love all that the technology, and I've been doing that for fucking years. And I'm a big, not one of the main people who've been like talking about the use of technology in the booth and stuff like that. But there's just
Yeah.
something about vinyl, you know. There's I don't know. I mean, I just want to do it for the fuck of it because I can, you know, and why not?
And I think there's a certain nostalgia to it. Actually, this is the thing. What did you? Okay, so my first set of decks was a shitty pair of like Newmarks, no Geminis, that like went up to plus and minus 10, that had the shittest torque control ever. So you nudged
Yeah,
it forward and the thing would fucking spin.
the belt
Belt
drives,
control.
right? Yeah.
Belt driven ones. And I think that learning on the shittest equipment possible made me a better DJ.
Oh, Sanil says we bought the MK7, so whenever you're ready, I'm ready, bro. Just keep the decks prepared. I'm coming.
But yeah, so what was your
But yeah,
learning deck?
so I'll tell you my two. Okay, so I started DJing. I learned to mix, which was a very weird thing, which I'm going to tell you about. And I don't think I've spoken about this before, Nerm. But
Okay.
I learned to play on two Discmen. You know, remember the Discman?
Yeah.
So you know what so these friends of mine and me, we figured tracks have a tempo.
Yeah.
And there are many tracks that have the same tempo. So if you press play and pause for long enough, you'll eventually align the kick drum.
Yeah.
And we were like, holy shit, is that how it's done? Is that how they fucking mix?
I've got an exact same story because I started on cassette. Because I used to tape them, and then I figured out if you press play on this cassette recorder and that one, they play simultaneously, and then you'd play pause, exactly the same thing.
Exactly
So the same thing,
bro. So we had I owned one Discman, this friend of mine owned the other one. So we had these two, and we had a cassette player, and I had a friend at the back who would sit on his Walkman and rewind cassettes so that it was queued up for us to fade into the, you know. But then we went to this like junk store in Bangalore, and we found this turntable. It was the SL2000 Techniques SL2000 because we knew the name Techniques.
Yeah.
So we found an SL2000, which was a belt drive rotary pitch turntable. It didn't have the slider, so it had two different rotaries for 33 RPM and 45 RPM.
Yeah.
And have you just gone off, or are you glitching?
Yeah, no, I'm turning the video off for a second, but just carry on talking.
Okay. Yeah, cool. So so that's what we use. We use that belt drive turntable, and we had two records between us.
And you played the same one over and over again.
Over and over and over, and every single track on either side. And I'm pretty sure I actually still have the record with me.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what it was called, but I'm positive I have it with me.
You know what? It's amazing. Do you remember that first time you got them in sync on the mix, and you're like, "Holy shit!" On the turntables, you're just like, "Oh my god!"
It was unbelievable because I mean the first time we got sync was when we actually did this play pause thing and actually realized, okay, these tracks actually have a tempo that we can fucking align to, and how cool is that? So then what we did was we made lists of tracks.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
We were
totally.
Yeah. So we made and there were like these two other friends of mine. So there were three of us, Asad, Sean, and myself. And so we made these lists of different tracks and different tempos, and we would keep adding to the list every time we'd get a new track and we'd figure out it mix. But at parties, we would be like, dude, I'm playing this list and I'm playing this list. And he'd be like, no, I want to fucking play that list because I want to play that track. And he'd be like, no, but we would fight over which list because we had to play tracks only that would fit into that BPM. And we didn't even know what the fuck BPM meant. All right.
Exactly. It was just like, this is the same tempo. Dude, I used to use the countdown clock on cassettes. The numbers. I'd use them as an indicator of, right, I've got to press play on this thing to be at this thing while listening to the beats, because there was always a delay to hit play to get it. You couldn't cue properly.
You couldn't.
Fuck. That's amazing, bro. I'm glad that you had that experience too. It makes sense. Again, this is why we're such old bastards that we could fucking like appreciate. Like I remember looking the first time I saw a crossfader, I was like,
exactly.
Like, what? You could? Oh, it's such basic shit now. I'm just like,
no,
and like
we
tempo
started
changes as well.
Dude, when we started DJing, and we couldn't hire a DJ mixer. The only mixer we could hire was a fucking live sound, a Huja Studio Master, which was that 12 or 16 channel mono. So we were fucking feeding 4 channels simultaneously like that, because mono, we realized, you have to have stereo sound. So that means we need 2 fucking channels, 2 monos going there, 1 panned left and right, which we figured out much later. We need to pan them. We didn't even fucking figure that shit out.
Mate,
but
that's hilarious. Oh, you pan them left and right. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Well, look, there's a comment here that I think's come up twice. Hang on a second. You guys are established and settled enough to inspire so many other guys to join this, guys. But do you ever think about DJs and how to work on smaller clubs? And I just want to say that we kind of are talking about that, to be honest with you. We're talking about how we started off and how we struggled for years. Because Arjun and I guess we both started at similar times in different countries. I guess I'm more privileged because I'm from the UK, but I guess he's more privileged because he's from India. We were just discussing all of that. And I think, I think it's a give and take. But literally, the way that we got, I think I'm going to speak for you, Arjun. So the way that we got here was like a fuckload of struggle and a lot of hard work and a lot of maintaining it. So we're talking about everything we went through to get to DJing, because every single record at that point cost a lot of money, and we couldn't afford to actually play on vinyl. You know what I mean? Those tipping points come at a time. But I guess, if you are a DJ in a smaller club right now and you're hurting, I don't know what advice to give except for keep going, because I was piss poor back then and I just kept fucking going.
I'll say this. I know it's a bad time, and I know, look, we're all hurting right now because of what's going on in the world. And believe me, and everybody thinks they have it the worst, and I get it. But just think of somebody who spent the last 25 years working in an industry, and that's been their job, and that doesn't exist anymore and won't for the foreseeable future. So it's bad all around. Maybe we've been in this for long enough to realize that we started from nothing and we built something from nothing.
And maybe it'd be better.
Absolutely. So if you're hurting right now and you're a small club DJ, you know what you should do? You should learn more. Take this time. Take it, and I keep telling this to all, younger DJs I speak to, is actually take this time to experiment. Take this time to learn something new, something that you didn't have the time to do. It's like a forced vacation. Look at it that way. It's tough. I know it's not a fucking vacation, but think of it as a forced vacation that you need to shut the fuck up and stay home. But that doesn't mean that everything stops. I mean, after doing this for so many years today, I wake up every day feeling like shit, but every day I tell myself, fuck this. What am I learning today? What am I doing new today? And I get into the studio and I make music, or I hunt for music. I'm Googling stuff, or I'm watching videos on YouTube. There's always something that you can improve yourself on. So use this time to improve.
And I want to clarify, it doesn't require a fuckload of equipment anymore. You can do this shit on your phone. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You can do this shit on your phone and get better at whatever device you have in front of you. You can do this shit online for free. You know what I mean? the entry level for doing this is so low now that everyone can do it, you know? And I think that, I think you're right, Arjun. Now's the time to use the time you've got, because actually
Absolutely.
it takes, I think it takes a lot of that, like you're saying, you working with Discmen, you know what I mean? You fighting to get records, you finding a way
Yeah,
because there's an impetus to do it. You know what I mean? And equally, pulling everything full circle is knowing where the fuck our scenes came from. Do you know what I mean?
absolutely.
Going back to
Yeah,
people that did exactly the same thing. So Arjun was talking
exactly.
about
They
how
did.
techno was created, how drum and bass was created, how all these things were created, was from people that didn't have access to all this shit, that had a compulsion to do something new and fucking did it.
Exactly. And you know, like, I'll be honest with you, like, we've all struggled. I mean, I know a lot of people might think today that, oh, check these guys out, they're all pretty sorted, and look at the records they have and all that. Man, we started from nothing as well. You know, we all started from zero. We didn't have any money, and we worked our way. We've done. I mean, and I can speak for Nerm here, that we've all done a lot of shitty jobs to get to where we are and get to do what we want to do. So at the end of the day, this is the time for you to take and use it wisely, and not waste time cribbing, because cribbing doesn't get fucking anybody anywhere.
Yeah.
Nobody got anywhere by saying that, look at me, my life sucks.
And
I'm
also, I've
sorry.
got,
I hate
and
I
also,
hate I hate I hate tough love, but that's what I'm about.
and also, there's a thing where you're right. I actually am very privileged. So, you know, Gojo's come back and said, look, you know, I can hardly make ends meet right now. I have to think of my daughter than learning a new art. You know, you're totally right. And that's a valid thing. And I have no answer to that, because everyone's got to feed themselves before they can create art, you know? And if you've got a
Okay,
child to feed, it's going to be just as hard. So, I mean,
okay.
I can't speak to that.
Mate, okay, so I'll tell you, there are a couple of things you can do, and because you know the music business isn't dead completely. Firstly, if you don't produce, learn to produce, because there's a lot of doors that can open. Number one, if you're just a DJ, you need to expand your art form, because in whichever way you cut it, you're not gonna make it in life just being a DJ. Being a producer now is, without exception, the most important thing to take your DJing career further, if you want to take it in a very, very serious way.
Well, also equally in terms of generating an income for the future, making your own shit is the way to generate that income, because it's as simple as
Yeah.
that. As a DJ, you can't make a set and sell it because that's other people's music. If you make your own music, you've got your own shit to sell, you know?
Yeah, and let me just add to this, the question about, it's also being right. It's also about being a DJ is not enough anymore. You have to be a producer, and I'm really, and I know there's a lot of people don't really agree with this point, but I think it's very, very important, especially if you want to take your DJing seriously. You have to produce. The thing with producing is that it opens a lot more doors. So you have to remember that. Now, I'll tell you from personal experience. I was a club DJ, being a DJ at, nightclubs and stuff like that, and I had a salary. Let me just get your point, but just hear my point first. I had a salary coming from a club that I used to play at, but at the same time, I learned to produce myself, and I was doing stupid things like making music for spas, making music, elevator music for hotels, making lobby music for hotels, and earning that extra income so I could buy gear for my studio. So I was doing all those things, and that supplemented my income in a way that I could actually then say fuck DJing at a club and playing shit tetty music, and actually do my own parties or
Yeah.
play with friends and put parties together.
I think I was going to say is that there's not, I mean, like in terms of doing something to help junior DJs, I think that there are things that we do in terms of workshops and things, but it's got to be your own impetus as well, I'm afraid, bro. You got to kind of
Yeah.
figure out where you can go. By the way, listen, we've got like about 2 minutes remaining, so I'm going to hang up and call you right back. So everyone on this, rejoin, because we've
Okay.
reached the hour limit on Instagram. So I'm going to hang up and call you right
Okay.
back, Arjun, okay?
Okay. Let's do that.
Yeah. And we're back, part two. That got really interesting. I'm looking forward to hearing what else happens. And when people join, if they will, if Arjun will rejoin. Hello, hi. Thanks for coming back. Hi, Vandana. How are you? from New York City. Yeah. Arjun's here. Wicked. Thank you everyone for rejoining us. Hi Rena. We're gonna go back on this chat. Hey bro.
Hey guys. Hey,
Hi.
sorry. It took me a minute to get Sachin. Hi, what's up? I just saw your missed call and I thought you'd probably come on here. What's up, Rena? I hope you guys are safe in NYC. Hey, sorry, it took me a second to get back in, but the connection's actually staying a bit stable, so
Yeah, so hopefully it's
not
good.
too bad. Yeah.
Maybe everyone's gone to sleep in your neighborhood and there's more bandwidth.
Well, yeah. There's nobody in my neighborhood. I live in a village and there's no electricity, so you know.
Huh? Well, maybe all the sort of secret nighttime touchings have stopped.
Oh, you naughty boy.
Everyone's had their fill of their phones. You know what I'm saying? It's just you drinking your pani and talking to me, which which is odd. But everyone, yes, this is part 2 of our chat with Arjun, Arjun Wagale and me, talking about our old ass history in music. Yeah. Thank you for rejoining us, everyone. But yeah, I guess, I think it's difficult. I think it's difficult to dole out advice in difficult times as well that would appeal to everyone. It's, it's fucking hard times. But,
I absolutely agree.
But I think, I think there is something to be said for, like we were discussing before about looking at the racial origins of our music was quite important. And I guess in terms of reflecting on that, that was something quite profound yesterday, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's very important. I think we all need to know where we come from and and our history. And, like we were talking in the beginning of this conversation about, all this music that we love, where does it originate from and how did it get there? And what were the struggles that all those people went through?
And just as we talk about solid internet connections, Arjun freezes right on cue.
Mother.
Oh wait, yeah, I think you're coming back, bro. I think you're gonna come back. I think you're gonna come back.
Okay, great.
I think you're gonna come back, bro. Yeah, you're back. You're back. You're here.
Oh man. Yeah, well, it's kind of like freezing here, but
I can hear you, bro.
Yeah, it's freezing here. So I thought you were. Anyway, I know it's my connection. Anyway, what else? Right.
Everyone's commenting on your beard, saying they love your build, like that they're loving your beard, bro.
Oh, dude, really? This is the first time I think in my life that I've even I've had the balls to get onto a public space with this. I actually gave it a bit of a trim, and I thought about shaving it off, and I was like, I can't be asked, man. Fuck it, it's okay.
I've got to be honest. Like, I always thought it was impossible for you to grow a beard because you have that kind of whiskey vibe. It's got that kind of like pubescent child like vibe.
Fuck. Yeah,
a little streak, like yeah.
Yeah, trust you to say some shit like that, Nerm. But yeah, well.
Dude, it's because it's pixelating as fuck. That's all,
Is it okay? I'll try and stay still then.
Nah, it's there. You go. You've gone from moving to staying still. But dude, man, I mean, I think that's an interesting conversation we were having about that chap who was talking about what to do right now in this time. I think that it's difficult to earn a living right now as a DJ because there's no fucking clubs. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I don't know any other ideas apart from self-education, quite frankly, right now. That's all I can suggest.
Bro, the truth is that I don't think anybody has any idea of what to do, and we're all in the same boat. I think the world is in such a fucked up space, and by world I mean the music industry is in such a fucked up space that everything is. Streams are down, record sales are down, there are no clubs open.
I thought
being in the music business right
now, streaming was massive.
I think they're actually down. Numbers are actually down. It's strange. I was reading something about this last week, and I said that actually numbers of streams are actually lower, strangely. And I could be completely wrong.
Maybe because radios kicked back in, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe you're right. But all around, everything is in this sort of is in a weird space, and nobody has answers. And I'm not going to pretend I have any answers too. But at the end of the day, we as okay, as musicians, as electronic musicians especially, we've sort of built things out of nothing. We've taken stuff, we've done the best we can. You know, we built scenes which have now turned into $1 million scenes. And I think if we just give it a little time, hang in there, stay put, see what happens in with what's going on, things are bound to turn. There's something going to happen. Now, for example, this whole streaming nonsense that's happening, I fucking hate it. But
Ah.
there is some revenue generation system model behind it. So,
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
yeah, so let's look at that, right? The stuff Bandcamp's doing, I think it's fucking amazing what they're doing. And honestly, like, I didn't even think too heavily or didn't put too much attention onto Bandcamp up till a year ago. And it's only then that I started, you know, we started putting our music even as a label on it.
Yeah. Dude, I was thinking
But
about that as well. The revenue
yeah,
return on that is direct. So you can't
absolutely.
really fuck with it. And it's interesting because I'm looking
Yeah,
like, you know, I'm been helping artists out for the best part of my whole career. And it's
yeah, yeah,
interesting looking at them now.
yeah,
Oh, Sonny Pix is saying, yeah, fucking bastard. He's basically just saying we're both hot, which is quite sweet.
yeah. Yeah,
That's absolutely
Sachin just gave me, he just gave me a missed call just before this call started. That's why I couldn't get in, you know, but
I
hi
see.
Sachin, much love to you, bro.
I see, exactly. And then, you know, so my point is that direct to fan stuff has always been there. But I guess that the whole
Yeah,
thing about Bandcamp making sure that the revenue actually goes to the artist in the face of streaming is quite important. Because
it is
like,
absolutely.
uh, you know, obviously Pavan from Foreign Beggars, I'm looking after his solo career and stuff, and executing it. And we're looking at different ways of
You
interacting
know,
with
I'm doing a remix
audiences.
for him,
And
right?
hip hop's not my world, you know?
You know, I'm doing a remix
Oh,
for him, right?
shit. Yeah, I do know that, actually. I
But
do know
but
that. Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
just keep quiet about it. I don't think we're supposed to talk about it, so let's not talk about it. Okay, anyway. But
Excellent.
yeah,
Excellent. This is very good. But I think that's the point, is like finding new, like for me personally, after all these years of doing this shit for years, you know, it has to be something, and I'm obviously privileged enough now to be able to pick stuff that I want to do as opposed to stuff I have to do. And the stuff that I want to do really fucks with different parameters and revenue streams and all that kind of stuff, you know?
yeah,
So I can't help thinking that if there's, and without sounding really callous and fucking capitalist, there's got to be an opportunity here to fucking change the system, like you said. So as you keep sticking to things, as new DJs keep sticking to stuff and making what they want to, there's a chance now to rebuild that whole system because it's been forced to a close. And
yeah,
it's going to
totally.
have to reopen.
Yeah, it will reopen, but it's like, how do you survive till the time it reopens? But that's where the tough get fucking stronger. You know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Mm.
So try and survive, try and innovate, and do try and see what you can do. Because I mean, to see, Num, I've never had a defeatist attitude in life through all the crap that I've been through, and you're the same, and a lot of people in our generation are the same. But to say that, oh, you know, we're fucked right now and there's nothing we can do is, I'm sorry, a defeatist attitude. It just doesn't work for
Mm.
me, and I refuse to accept it. There is always something you can do. Okay, so I'll just give you a few examples of stuff that I'm doing, right? And people can, you know, take user advice or not user advice or whatever, because frankly, I'm not the, I don't want to give people advice, but you know, if I can inspire somebody to do some stuff, great. So I started now releasing a lot of my old catalog, my archives of tracks that, you know, I've had for stuff that I've been making for maybe the last, archives that are 5 years old or around that time. I don't want to
Mm.
go further back because it was really, production was shit back then completely. Now, I mean, whatever.
Dude,
So
a healthy disregard for your own catalog is always a wise thing.
we got to call a spade, right? Some of my shit sucks. It does suck, and I completely. But anyway, so what I basically found a whole bunch of really decent tracks, and I was like, let me just put them up on Bandcamp and see how that goes. So that was one thing, and the first one did relatively well. I made like $40 off it, and I told myself that whatever money I make out of this, I will give back to charity. There's a charity that, you know, Nikhil Mahajan from Delhi, Satyananda. He does
No.
ambient. Okay. Anyway, he's an old friend of mine, and he runs this charity that they're helping COVID-19, you know, affected people helping migrants, feed them and stuff like that. He's a really old friend of mine, and he's doing, really, really, really great work, and, much
Yeah.
respect to him. And, I really, really, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate what he's doing. So I decided that whatever money I make out of my Bandcamp sales, I'm going to give straight to him. And I've been doing that. And so the revenue from Bandcamp is sort of coming in a little bit. So I thought, okay, how can I increase this and make it better? So now I've decided to do sample packs. So I've been recording stuff off my modular synth and stuff like that. And I'm going to put the first one out maybe next week or something like that. And I'm going to put one out maybe once a month or maybe twice a month, because, now that one has time, you can do these kind of things.
You can do more. Yeah.
You can do more. And, the funny thing is, while making the sample pack, I've made a sample pack before a couple of years ago, but while making this particular one, I learned a few things about my synth. So not only is it something that's generating revenue and that's going to hopefully help producers and money going to charity, but I've learned something doing that process. So all I'm trying to say here is taking a defeatist attitude and saying that my life is fucked, there's nothing coming in, what the fuck do I do, is bullshit. Just do something. There's always something you can do.
I think you're right, where there is always an option open. I think there's always something that can be done. But also, have you never been there? I know I've been there, where it's just like, I'm going to just fucking quit this shit and I'm done with it. You must have been there.
Oh no, man.
So in terms of the word defeatist attitude, I'm sure that it's defeated you at some stage. It must have, because life
it has.
But
bro, I completely agree with you, and that's why, and that's why I'm saying this. Don't have a defeatist attitude, because I think that's the thing that differentiates. Listen, I went through this really dark phase, maybe a year ago or something like that, where I wanted to fucking quit everything. I had a lot of health issues. I've been through all that. We've all been through these things in our lives. But at the end of the day, you always, I've always thought, and, and I'm glad to have family beside my side who are always extremely supportive, friends who are extremely supportive. And they've all said that, I'm sorry, this is, you cannot have this attitude. You have to reach deep down and find what's keeping you going, and you got to find something to keep you going. And if you can't do it, then don't. But do something that makes you happy. But to say that things around are so bad, I don't know what to do. No, I always think that you have to find the positive wherever you can. And when times get tough, you need to get tougher and fucking fight it.
Totally.
And I hate sound like a fucking prick now, so let's change this thing.
Oh no. I was trying to humanize you fucking idiot, because I'm saying that we've actually both, there's points where you just reach I'm gonna fucking quit everything. I'm gonna fucking try and get a day job. Fuck all this shit. It's too hard. I'm gonna switch things, and it's hard. It's not fucking easy. Do you know what I mean?
Man, it is. Yeah.
It's not fucking easy.
It isn't. And just being in this business isn't easy, man. It's fucking tough. Even just being in the business or being successful in this business is even tougher. And sometimes
I don't even consider it as a success. I think it's an ongoing fucking battle, quite frankly.
Bro, it is.
And it's always going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So let's see. Let's see. What are the other questions? Spot on. Thanks, guys. I hope some of you agree with me. If you don't agree with me, you really don't need to take my advice.
Yeah, it's offered freely. So if anyone's got any questions, ask them. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's basically Arjun and I having a drink and catching up, but publicly.
Okay.
In fact, the last time we did this was in the Delhi airport.
What was it?
I nearly missed my flight.
I'm getting a drink. Oh, right, Nerm. Yes, you're right. Either that or it was us.
In London.
Meeting. Oh, right. Maybe it was in London. Man, I don't remember.
What were you going to say?
Sorry, I was going to say that I'm getting a drink.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the last time we met was it outside a club in Delhi? Was that the last time with Nikhil and stuff? No, that was way before, right?
No, it was a Delhi airport, dude.
It was Delhi airport.
It was
Oh
Delhi, yeah.
man. Okay, okay. Now I remember. Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
I remember.
Because
And we were
I met you like after some fucking gig, and you were like, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "I'm gonna get back to Bombay," and then there was some flight change. Obviously, it's Delhi. I've got to say, I'm a Delhi snob. I'm not really that much of a fan of Delhi. I've got to be honest with you. Bombay's my place. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Here's a question. Actually, here's a question.
Hmm.
Do you think it's necessary to start hosting gigs to get more success? Yes, 100% yes. I think.
I agree with you, Nerm, completely. Just you got to do your thing.
Yeah, you gotta yeah, totally.
So, would you ever do a free Ableton online class to help forthcoming DJs? Yeah, actually, I did something with Wild City a week, 10 days ago. So you should actually just look up Wild City because they have something going on right now with another bunch of artists who are doing a mentorship program. So, and of course, Film Beats knows everything about everything, so you can always ask him.
He knows everything. It's everyone. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, totally. I think there's so many online resources, man. Like there's a shitload of classes in India that are happening right now for doing
Yeah.
exactly that.
Yeah. Also, check out ILM. I mean, I'm sorry to give a plug in this, but it's a school my brother and me run, and we've just started doing online classes, and they are doing Ableton classes. So you know what? If you do need help, and I understand money is tight, why don't you just get to the ILM website, check it out, and if you do like to do it, send me a DM, and I'll work something out for you.
Yeah, there you go. Talk about giving back and shit. Arjun,
Absolutely, I'm on.
the giving back person.
No, but I know this is a lot of people help me out. Nerm, I mean, come on, man. What about you giving back? You're like, how many people have you helped? Remember the first time we met? I was actually thinking about that this morning because I knew this chat was happening, and not maybe the first time, but the first time we actually connected. You remember then when that was? It was laid
No
back
fucking memory.
waters. Laid back waters. We were doing a jalebi gig, and we were still with the BBC. We were with Radio One back then, and you wanted to do an interview, and you came to Laid Back Waters. We were doing a jalebi live gig.
Where?
Delhi.
Oh, in Delhi. Yeah, yeah. Of course, I covered it with the Asian Network. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I remember that.
With the Asian Network, and we were all like we were back then, hammered completely,
Yeah.
and we did this little interview in a conference room.
Yeah, I remember that.
You standing with your little recorder,
it was you, Karsh, the pundits.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, totally. And it was J Views.
Was JB also playing? Was it the festival?
Yeah.
Was
it was the Shalom Peace Festival in
Shalom
Delhi.
Peace Festival? Yes, of course. Yeah.
Was that the first time we met?
Not the first time we met. The first time we connected. I think we had met a few times and been like, "Hey, wait, what's up?" Because you know how you meet at a club is just that's the level of conversation. But I think the first real conversation we had was actually then.
Huh.
I think, yeah. I mean, it's very vivid in my head, so it must be kind of true.
I just remember you give me a techno slot at the second ever Sunburn because I think I was shocked they gave us a slot. So D and I were playing at Sunburn, and you guys were playing at Sunburn, and it was this whole connection. And also through Jitin as well, because then like
yes, of course, yeah,
was managing us at the time, so yeah.
Right.
And in fact, Filmy's saying I played Bass Foundation. I didn't. Decode played Bass Foundation. Yeah.
Oh fuck me, sorry.
That was it.
What's happened?
Did you rotate the camera?
No, I didn't rotate the camera, but then my damn screen thingy has come up. Okay, sorry, my bad.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, I'm good.
So they're saying who all was in Jalebi Cartel? What happened to Ash? Ash is still a big DJ. He's still playing.
Yeah, everybody's
on the last time I was on tour in India. Everyone's right?
Everybody's still doing except G-Force isn't actively doing stuff, but he's got a group called Else If, and they make also experimental electronic music. But everybody from Jalebi is everybody in Jalebi is ex-Jalebi guys are all like, they're all doing stuff. Ashwin's doing stuff, G-Force, Ash, everybody. So yeah, everybody's doing pretty well. And what happened to Jalebi? Well, like every relationship, it runs its course. So we're all going our separate ways, but we're all doing good things. So there's no love lost anywhere.
You know what? I kind of feel like this weird sense of like pride in the whole sort of Shiver Sound System alumni that have gone on to do amazing shit. I'm like, yeah, there's like family. It's fucking great.
Yeah.
It's quite beautiful, I've got to say. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
I
So
think
listen,
sorry, go
sorry,
on.
carry
Go
on,
on.
carry on, carry on. You
No,
about to
no,
say
no,
something?
go on. No, no, yeah.
No,
I was
please.
just
You're
really,
about to rant in your drunken state, and I want to hear it. And now, of course, he pauses. Yet we're getting there. Ah, shit. My whole presenter making you calm thing just fucked up, bastard. But yeah, I was going to say that it's quite nice, like, to see. What I wanted to ask you was, like, going to that actual diversion of techno, and fully repping that techno world was kind of post Jalebi, essentially. That's when you became
yeah,
like India's biggest export. Because I remember having these conversations on all these various fucking music panels and shit, talking about Indian artists, and I'd always cite you as someone that would not have to have a fucking tabla sample or a sitar sample uh, in the West to make them an Indian artist. I mean, that's my own personal battle. I have this huge fucking chip on my shoulder about what's defined as an Indian artist in the West. That's my battle. You know what I mean? So you taking that on in the techno world and doing it was pretty fucking awesome.
yeah.
And so what was that? What was that point?
I mean, okay, so I'll be straight. Like, I mean, the thing is that, like I said earlier, we didn't grow up with too much Hindi music in our house. And while I have the utmost respect for all music coming out of my country, and
But it's not about that. It's about how Indian artists are perceived across the world, right? And what the rest of
right,
the
you're
world
right,
assumes is an Indian artist is what it's. So it's got fuck all to do with your background. It's more
right,
to be
okay,
how you're
okay,
perceived
right,
outside
right.
of it.
Yeah. Okay. So that's actually another strange situation because you're absolutely correct with that. So the first thing, like we were talking about the first international gig we played, right, which was Ashwin and me were repping Jalebi and Gaurav and Tapan. So it was the four of us on tour in France, and I remember Gaurav telling me, he's like, "Bro, you guys need to do some a little bit more Indian stuff with your thing, otherwise it's not going to be easy." And I was like, "Bro, but I don't really feel it. I don't want to put a tabla or a sitar in the track for the fuck of it. Because if I don't feel like, and let me be honest with you, as Jalebi, we made a fair amount of Indian influence tracks, you
I
know?
played a couple of them on my Asian network show because I
Exactly,
had to
exactly.
have that fucking checkbox aspect of it.
Right. Well,
You know.
I didn't want to fucking tick the box, you see. I was like, fuck
Yeah.
this. We are part of a fucking global network. Music is global. Why do I necessarily have to put um, an Indian music sample or instrument in it just to
To be
say, just
Indian, like you got to
to be
fucking prove
Indian?
yourself. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like exactly, like fuck that. And honestly, Nerm for me was a mission. It was like, what? Um, everybody, Indian electronica was a big thing back then, right? With the sound of Asian underground,
I
right?
mean,
I mean,
I think it was post that. It was like a hangover in my head. It
okay,
was like a
right,
cultural
correct,
hangover because we were
right,
trying to fight out that shit constantly and break out of it. And that was so. It was that in between space, perhaps.
right, okay, fair enough, right, you're right. I mean, my timeline's a little messed up, foggy in my head rather, for obvious reasons. But yeah, like anyway, look, I was listening to what I was listening to, and I was like, hey, if I'm influenced by something and if I want to make something, I'm going to do what I want to do, irrespective of where I'm from or the color of my skin or the language I speak at home. I'm going to make the music I want to make, and we'll see what happens. And after Jalebi was done, for me, it was like this situation because I was making a lot of music as Jalebi. I must have made probably over 90 singles we released, which were made by me. A lot of them were made by me. Anyway, whatever. Besides the point, the thing is that I wanted the shift to happen in a very, very serious way. So I kind of like deleted everything I had. I deleted all my samples, all my software, everything. And I was like, I'm going to start my production process as Arjun Vagale from scratch and see where that goes. And I think that's how the shift happened. It
And
was
give
just
lots
like,
of German techno DJs a problem with your surname.
yeah, nobody could still pronounce my name, man.
Vagel. Yeah.
My name's been the most bastardized name in techno.
Clement's here. Easy, Clement. Good to see you, brother.
Clement, what's up, bro?
No, it totally. So that shift to techno was quite a brave step. I've got to be honest with you, because that was kind of like, you know, picking a genre and going down it and saying, I'm going to fucking do this and represent my, and then in fact, not even saying that I'm going to represent my country, but by default, having to represent your country is kind of a fucking thing to do.
I mean, it just happened, to be honest, like there was no plan or whatever. And the thing is, even while Jalebi was happening, I was playing techno. And I remember when I started playing techno very early on in India, I was getting a lot of shit for it because it was a lot darker than it is now. It's become fucking fluffy as fuck
Hello,
now.
drum and bass, you bastard. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. You know?
Yeah.
So when I started playing it, I remember there were dance music forums in India and people used to like fucking abuse me and be like, what shit is he playing? And he's playing this dark, druggy music and stuff like that. And hey, whatever, 15 years later, everybody's playing techno. So,
you know, what's interesting to me was that like, I got to a stage when I was younger, and first discovering jungle and drum and bass. And I kind of dismissed anything that was 4/4 that didn't have a break. Right. So like left field was about as far as I went, because at least, and chemical brothers obviously, and whatever.
right.
There's
Big
some
beat.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there was some shuffle between the fucking 4/4. There was some movement, and then for years I dismissed techno, and then it was like the shuffle came back, like it came back in. It was like, okay, so the arpeggiators are shuffling and all this kind of shit. I was like,
Yeah.
And then there was a nightclub in the UK called Neighborhood. Run by DJ Tasha, right? So Tasha is old school D&B head. Who
I know her label, Neighborhood, of course. I know her label.
Yeah. So Tasha was like, you know, she's fam. She's like D&B fam. Like she's, you know, represented from day. And so she formed a night called Neighborhood after we did a night together that was a little experiment. Her night before was called Medium, actually. So Medium was about was cross-genre collaborations and stuff. And then she did Neighborhood. And it was fascinating to see how many D&B artists also made techno. So obviously, rest in peace, Marcus Intellects, as I forget his alter ego. Shit. What was his techno alter ego?
Man, I'm really bad with names.
I have to Google this because I don't want to get this wrong. But so D-Bridge has a techno alter ego. Icicle has a techno alter ego. There's a lot of D&B artists that also make techno.
Right.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the shuffle re-emerging, like the movement between the breaks.
Yeah.
Or the movement between the hits is what I mean. Sorry, Trevino.
Yeah.
That's it, Trevino.
Trevino, of course, Trevino.
That was Marcus.
Wow. Yes, exactly.
Rest in peace,
yes.
Marcus.
Yeah. Rest in peace. Yeah. But see, you know, Nerm, the funny thing about techno, and I think one of the reasons why I was so drawn to it was because it's a very open genre, the same way drum and bass is. You know, anything goes. You can literally like fucking do anything with it. And after spending a lot of time, I felt in, you know, constraint, let's just say. I found freedom in techno in a way that I could literally, you know, just like fucking go with the wind and just literally take my creative energy and my mind any direction that I wanted. And that's what really excites me even today about techno. And similarly, drum and bass, you know, that's the thing that I mean, you know, I'm not gonna shy away in saying this, but I've been influenced by a lot of drum and bass, and a lot of my music still today is influenced by breaks in general. And I had a big period in the middle there where I was playing a lot of breaks. You know, back in the day when breaks were breaks, you know, Crafty Cuts and
Atomic Hooligan and those people.
Atomic Hooligan.
Yeah,
dude.
man.
Oh.
But yeah, so Atomic. Hey, Asmani's here. Wicked.
Respect, Asmani-san.
Sorry, bro. Arjun just glitched out as soon as I covered the camera.
Did I? I was just gonna find some breaks. Lee Coombs.
Ah, nice. I think your picture's
So I have
pixelated
a lot
so
of.
hard.
Oh, is it? Oh, fuck me.
So, Gajotaru, I was going to say the DNB does
Maybe
not
I shouldn't
dominate
do
the
this then,
underground scene in the
because the
UK right
connection is
now.
probably really shit.
I think that DNB kind of helped originate a lot of underground scenes, is what I think
Totally,
it did.
man. Absolutely.
What are you showing us, Arjun?
Meet Katie, yes. I was showing you some vinyl, but I don't know if you're saying that if it's going to pixelate a lot, then I won't bother doing all this, because if you can't see the cover,
You could
the
get it
artwork.
and bring it to where you were, because like Lego Man could go away.
Okay, give me a sec. Let me pull out a bit. Okay, I'm just going to pull out.
Hey, Jazz, how are you? Jazz from Culture Shop, how's it going? Thank you all for joining us. Arjun's in Goa right now. We've been having a chat for like a couple of hours now. I'm going to put this wide-angle lens on so you get some good viewage. There you go.
I'm sorry.
You're back.
I'm not going to move. Just, it's better I don't move.
I was going to say, Australian beats producers, I had an issue when Pendulum put out that tune. What was the track Pendulum did with the freestylers? That was like full clown step.
I don't know. But Sunil's here. He knows everything. Sunil,
So
answer
Sunil,
the
what was the
question.
track? Oh, yeah, I've got it on vinyl, I think. I wrote a scathing review saying, what is this clown-like noise? Areva! Dude, I've got a story to tell you, actually. So when Prince passed away, and we were all devastated, there was a night that I put on where
Phil K.
we're
Yes,
doing a
Phil
Prince
K.
tribute set.
Phil K. Right. Okay, sorry.
Anyway, Atomic Hooligan came into the Prince set at my night.
Wow,
With
really?
scratching and stuff. Yeah, I'll send you the link to it. It's
Okay,
amazing.
cool.
It's
Man.
amazing. He did a whole Prince set. It was wicked.
The whole breaks thing was like really big. I was like really obsessed with it for a while, and I remember like playing with the pundits and stuff like that, because that was the only time one could experiment doing that kind of stuff. I was still a DJ at a nightclub, and one had to play crap and stuff like that. But then Gaurav and Tapan were doing cyber metal parties and all these other smaller parties and stuff that we would go and play, and we were the kids back then. So we would like really fucking download 192 kbps shitty MP3s and be like, oh, fuck yeah, I'll play this tonight, man.
138's the new tempo, man.
Yeah.
That's what we get.
Yeah.
Actually, big up Decode is in the house. Wicked.
What's up, Decode?
Have we? Oh yeah, Mayur. Of course, Mayur Bandage Project. Amazing.
Hey, Mayur, what's up, man? Nice to hear from you.
I think someone mentioned Mayur. It was everything is here, but yeah.
Wow.
Big up Bandage Project as well.
Hey, we should all do a Zoom with all the old school boys.
All the old bastards. And
all the old
right. I think we need to be in a room first before we do that in the real life.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Let's do it in the real world. Fuck this.
In the real world.
Crap.
Actually, it's got to be something, actually. So that whole Just Grind party, this is an amazing connection, actually. So DJ Nasha, Ritesh, right? So through DJ Nasha, I got to meet Bandage Project, right? So he became Breed now. But Ritesh was at that Just Grind party, and I played the long version of that Flute Fantasy Hero thing that he did, which was the big fucking tune.
I wish Ritesh was here, because he's actually also a really good friend of mine, and he's doing this really cool new project, which you should check out, by the way. I'll send you a link after this chat. But yeah, and he'll probably be cringing if he hears about this. So go ahead with your story.
So it was just like, I was like slicing it up with breaks and stuff in between. So it was just hilarious. Like, he was like, what is this? And it was just like, it was this whole merge of like what 4/4 was and what break orientated production was. It was just fucking brilliant. I kind of miss those days. And I think they're coming back. Oh, he's frozen. Well, look, I'll continue talking. I think that because of COVID, they're coming back, because everyone's got more time to listen and fuck with stuff that they're already sat on. You know what I mean? Like the kind of silos of genres were already breaking down anyway. But because they were in a club that was built for them, now we're all sat at home. We can break those down in our own houses. You know what I mean? And
totally.
I've been talking about this to Arjun for years, about somehow connecting techno and drum and bass in India, but it's been very difficult. because there's some producers that sort of straddle both, but it's very difficult to link them in terms of their marketing, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree, but I think all bets are off, Nerm, and I think we can do what the fuck we want now because this is the time to experiment. So I'm totally down. You wanna do something? Let's do it, bro. I'm totally fucking down.
Obviously.
Let's do it. Let's
Obviously.
just tell me what you want. No, I'm just saying now everybody's got the time, so there are no excuses. I think it's a great time to actually experiment.
Yeah, for sure. So Royalston, for example, is an artist who's just completely analog, like fully analog.
Who? Sorry, I missed that. It buffered. Sorry, could you read that?
Royalston.
Okay.
I've told you about him before, no? Royalston. Australian producer. He's signed to Hospital.
Yes. Did we meet him at BudX?
No.
Was he there? No.
Okay. Dude, every time we meet, we're fucked. What are you talking about? Every single picture of us going, hey, let's do something. We're shit-faced, like, yeah. And then we both just,
Giving me a bad reputation, Nerm.
Dude, I'm just as bad. That's fine. I'm just as bad. I'm just as mashed up. So I'm like, yeah. We've got to do this, bro. And then, dude, actually, fuck you. Now we're naming and shaming. Our back-to-back at a secret Delhi party has to happen.
Man, let the Delhi parties open. Where's Film Beats? Film Beats? Are you hearing this?
I love the fact you just said, let the Delhi parties open. Like instant Indian deferral. There's no self acceptance here. It's like deferral.
Dude, I'm totally, bro. Now I'm totally open to everything. So I'm just what I said. Film Beats, book it. It's done, right? How about opening night?
Actually, fuck that. Okay, Arjun's agency represents me in India, and to get a back-to-back with him was impossible. if we're calling motherfuckers out right now, right? I just want to say this, right? To get a back-to-back with my good friend Arjun was impossible.
All right, let's do it, bro. No, now we're doing it. Now,
I'm calling you out, fucker.
You know,
right,
now you're really calling me out, and now we might have to. We might have to start a new like alias, just the two of us. Okay.
Yeah, called Touchings.
Yeah. What?
Touchings.
Oh my god. Okay.
There you go.
Sorry. I just had to roll over a little bit and come back.
That's totally fine. That's totally fine. But yeah, there you go. There you go. Right. Any other questions?
I think everybody's having a good laugh, basically. But hey, that's our job. We're fucking entertainers, right? So we're trying to make you laugh. Gabba special.
Yeah, definitely not. I'm not doing Gabba. Although, interestingly,
Gabba's the new it thing, man. We're doing 150 dong tong 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 tong.
So, Randomer is the drum and bass.
Yeah,
artist.
Rohan.
Crossovers. Yeah. So Rohan,
yeah.
I know from the drum and bass world. Came on my show years ago, moved over to your world, and was at his gig. And I was like, yeah, guy, I've got to leave. Like it's like it was just full on like hardcore Gabba at that point.
Yeah. He's playing really heavy stuff, and but Nerm, the thing is, so am I. So
you know, 150. You know that 150. All you got to do is introduce a break, and then you're fine.
That's what I'm saying. So why don't you why don't we actually you slow down a little bit, and I'll speed up a little bit more, and let's just meet somewhere at the 150, 160 mark. And then let's see what
I could do. I was going to say actually we could do a transmission from one. How fast do you get in your sets actually? 140.
Like honestly, no, 140 is easy. Like I'm to 145 is what I push myself to max.
And so half timing that to 140 is quite easy, and then using a breakdown to get it up to 170 is quite simple. But you can just get it up to 160.
Okay.
So it's basically, dude, this is fucking psytrance.
Bro, I mean,
it's basically trance levels of fucking kicks.
It is. One second, boys, I'm shocked to find Rohan ain't an Indian name. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the thing is that it's funny because like as people grow older, they get slower. But the funny thing with me is that I find the slow stuff sleepy, so I'm pushing it faster. And Nerm, I won't be surprised by the end this COVID-19 bullshit. I'll probably be playing drum and bass, bro, because I need that adrenaline. I
Dude,
cannot handle the slow stuff.
I don't think you can handle snares. It's got to be all kicks. It's like drum bass with all kicks. Like, dun, 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 dun. It won't be. There's no pause for breath. You know what I mean? Exactly. There's no fucking
No,
snares in there.
hey,
It's
bro,
all
I
kicks.
I love snares. I love snares. I'm happy to do just snares. You know,
Just gets,
see, you know, snares with an LFO, so you can go. Nobody record this,
it's basically like
please.
you starting a fucking a bullet.
Yeah,
That's what
exactly.
it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Shit, dude, we're gonna end up with some really twisted genre at the end of this.
That's cool.
Dude, check out Roaston. I think Roaston might be.
Will you text me the name, please, after this? Yeah, so yeah, I'll remember. I'll make sure tomorrow morning I check him out. Yeah. But innovation only happens from conversations like this, so you never know what happens, right?
That's true. Okay, actually, there's another interesting question that's gone past from the same gentleman that asked earlier, because I think it's kind of good. Is like, and this is quite an interesting question, is that what's the most fucked up gig experience? Like in terms of like bad shit that's happened at a gig, but in a funny way, not too dark.
Actually, the question. Who asked that, by the way? But because there's another question from Nolan 1991, where ever played Bollywood or ever got a gun out on your gig? And actually, that's exactly what happened at a residency that I was playing in Delhi, where I was a sweet little teenage boy from Bangalore who had just moved to Delhi. And
like that was
because
everything. You were being a sweet little boy.
it used to be a thing in 1998. Anyway, I moved to Delhi and I know nothing about Punjabi or Hindi music, and I get a job at this club called Someplace Else. And I land up to work my first day, and it's I think a Friday or something like that, and there are a bunch of people in there, and some dude comes and asks me for some Punjabi track, and I've never fucking heard of it, and I'm a DJ from Bangalore who despises requests and being like, fuck off, I don't know fucking requests.
So how did you deal with it? Did you say fuck off? I don't do
No,
requests.
I was working, I was in a hotel, so I had to be very polite and cordial.
Right.
And
Okay,
I said, I'm sorry, so I don't know what you're talking about, and get back to mixing, and he's like, Bhanchot, mera gana baja, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he takes out a gun and puts it on the console. Like literally. And I was this close to actually pissing in my pants. Like literally. I mean, I'm a kid. I'm underage as a DJ to be in that fucking venue to begin with. Exactly. And I mean, it was a fucking scary ass experience. And the next day I came to work, and one of the staff guys from one of the bar staff, he came to me and he says, you're a nice little sweet boy from Bangalore or whatever, but now you're in big bad Delhi. So you better fucking man the fuck up and learn this. And I spent the next 2 weeks sitting with that really lovely guy who was the bartender, and he ran me through the entire fucking Punjabi collection.
And just like, you need to know this tune, this tune, this tune.
I need to know exactly all the big tracks and whatever, all the classic tracks. And eventually I knew them all. Thankfully, I was only in that club for like 4 months till I got hired in another club.
Dude, a techno version of Hey Jamalo is necessary. Because honestly,
you know what?
I gotta be honest with you. Hey, no, honestly, like Bali Sagoo and his Wham Bam mixtape in the UK was fucking serious. So Hey Jamalo, like even like as underground as a fucker as I am, like that mix of that was amazing.
I totally do it now, actually. Just for
Hey
the fucking
Jamalo.
shit.
And there's a scratch that goes hey 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 Jamalo. It's fucking great.
I'd speed that shit up to 145, and I'd just be like, "Hey, Jamal, no."
I think the toot could be a snack. It could be like a hat, maybe. I don't know. Techno.
Right. Yeah, or we could just scat it. We put in a sampler and just scat it up, like.
But that's the point. Actually, I think you probably synthesize all your shit. way more than sample, right?
Yeah, dude, I actually love sampling, but yeah, I'm a big synth freak and I'm into this whole modular thing, and like I'm very like obsessed with it. I'm very obsessive in nature.
And to make
But
your own things.
yeah, but actually, I love sampling. Actually, the thing is that I recently I've really started sitting and sampling a lot of my old records, and
What
I
for?
just
For what reason?
for
Just for fun.
all sorts of yeah, just and I'm not talking about sampling. I'm not talking about recording my or digitizing my vinyl. I'm actually talking about sampling. Like I'll pick up random records and just like listen to it, and
Oh,
pick
sorry,
up
sorry.
like
Forgive me. I thought you meant your own records, like the records you released. I was like, okay,
oh no, I meant vinyl in general. Like
okay,
just
sure, sure, sure. Yeah, yeah. The old school
just
way of doing it.
correct, absolutely, yeah. So like pickups like even hats or snares or claps or just little synth hits and whatever, and
Yeah,
it's fun to
because
do. Yeah,
I think that it's as far as algorithms, sorry, as far as software goes, it's still never going to replicate the amount of wear that a record's actually going to get through a
yeah,
needle and then put into a
absolutely,
hardware sampler, and just that whole A to D conversion, the dithering, that's still not been replicated. It's still a shit show. You never know
bro.
what you're going to get out.
Man, you absolutely everything that you just said, and it's the dirt. I just love the dirt. It's the fucking noise, you know.
And that's the one thing, like going from like, so you starting on two fucking like, not CDJs, CD Discmans,
Yeah,
just
Discman,
makes me fucking like, well, sorry, portable CD players is just
portable CD player.
insane. Because I remember seeing the first CDJ, sorry, the first CDJ 500 before it was the 500S, the
The
big
top loading
fucking
one.
unit. Yeah, but
The
it was
to-
the big
yeah,
unit. So the
yeah,
drum
yeah,
unit
yeah.
was
I remember.
separate to the loading unit.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
I
The
was like,
big fucking guy. Yeah,
the big
yeah,
one
yeah, yeah,
for
yeah,
one. I was
yeah.
like, what the fuck is this? And the same thing with there was a mini disc version as well. So you record your mini discs and put that in.
Yes, there was. Yes, yes. And Denon had a mini disc player because I remember when I was a resident at this club in Calcutta, that club had a Denon rack mount.
No, a dual one. Yeah, a dual rack mount. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, a dual rack mount, mini disc fucking player. And it was really cool because I actually went and bought myself a Sony mini disc thing so that I could record music on that and then play it in the club.
So it was basically on the Asian network before it was on like my regular show on Radio One. Asian network had mini disc backups in a rack mount, so it was designed for
Okay.
broadcast, and you could
Oh,
pitch adjust to plus or minus 6 or something. But it was
right.
terrible. It was fucking terrible. Like it was like you could hear the kind of crunchiness every time you
Yeah,
adjusted it. The
and the pitch.
resampling was terrible.
Right. The pitch would change in rather than having a master tempo situation, right? Like the
Oh,
pitch would, yeah.
totally. But
Ah,
even with the pitch adjustment, it would sound like
yeah.
shit. You know what I
Like
mean? It was
shit. Yeah.
awful. It was
Yeah.
awful. Because it was resampling the data off it. But yeah, so
Right.
that was that. So yeah, the
And this
actual
was
real analog
and this was before we could even record CDRs and stuff, right? This is like way before that.
this was I think 2004 5 was my first DJ set in a club where okay, fuck it, I'm gonna tell you. So okay, fuck it. It's my first ever DJ set.
We were talking about old stories. You can totally talk. No, come
Sure.
on.
So,
It's a
okay,
safe space here.
yeah. So obviously I'm from dirt and whatever the fuck. I went to a sixth form in Birmingham that was a grammar school, right? So grammar school meant that it was like a higher level of education, but you had to pass an entrance test to get in, right? You didn't pay fees, but you got in. So it was nice because it was meant to be the intelligent people from a variety of backgrounds. But I had to get like 2 public buses to get there, so it took me like 2 hours to get there.
Okay.
But it got so stifling when it came to going towards university that I couldn't deal with it. But a friend from that school called Richard Sharma, another Indian chap, again facing daily sort of racism, whatever the fuck else, and a lot of my white friends that were awesome, like Matt Smith, Aleki Weaver, a lot of my friends that were into metal at the time were cool, but it was still a weird transitional phase. But anyway, Richard Sharma's dad or someone had access to like a small housing estate they were building, which is like maybe 3 or 4 houses in the middle of fucking nowhere in Birmingham. So we decided for a rave. And
Oh, okay.
that was the genesis of everything. So we decided to throw a fucking party. Um, and that was my first set, actually. And so I kind of recorded everything to tape, like we discussed, where you figure out what tapes will match up and what tunes will match up. And that was when I was like 16 at the time. And it was
What year was
amazing.
that? What year was that?
I want to say, well, Left Field's album was out. Prince's Gold Experience was out. So I'll tell you exactly. 1 second. I can tell you which year when I go to my tapes. I think it was
Right.
94.
Wow.
93, 94. 1 second. I'm going to put my tape collection out and tell you the exact year.
Do you
Actually,
still have those tapes? That's insane, bro.
yeah, of course. Because I'm a
Wow.
good bastard and I fought for every cassette. So I own everything I still have. I'm a big archival nut. So I own everything. But yeah, so I think 93, 94 must have been. Let me just
Amazing.
verify that. But then Gold Experience, Prince. Sorry, bro.
Nah.
I'll tell you the year. But yeah, then going to actual clubs was a fucking miracle. 95. There you go, 95.
Bro, it's so funny because that's the same year I started DJing.
Huh.
Yeah, 95.
Well, there you go. And
Yeah.
years later, we're here, drunk talking to each other on Instagram.
We've just proved how old we are. So, cheers, brother.
Cheers, bro. So someone said, how do you get exposed to DMB? Through death metal.
How did I get exposed to electronic music? Through fucking metal too.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
It was all metal for me too. How was it for you? What was your story?
Well, for me, it was like listening to early. This friend, I was into like this kid. Every kid in Bangalore growing up, we were all into rock and metal.
Yeah. In fact, I
know,
went to Bangalore in 1999, and the
Yeah.
only place I went to was Purple Haze.
Purple Haze, dude. Yeah, we used to fucking hang out there all the time, and that was like a mecca back then,
Yeah.
Yeah. But but I mean, the way I got into electronic music was exactly through metal because I loved distortion and I loved guitar riffs, and then
Yeah.
suddenly I hear Apollo 440s ain't talking about dub. I hear music for the jilted generation, and I'm like,
Which
what
was,
the fuck is this?
that was like British punk. That's it. And I was lucky enough to
Exactly,
be
but
here for that shit. That was,
and bro, like I didn't even know what that was because it was on some pirated cassette that a friend had or something. So it was so tough to actually find out, who made this, where can I find more, and what other artists make this music. Like it was impossible.
yeah, I think the Prodigy were like obviously fucking hugely influential. Like, you mentioned the Beatles earlier about like how you discovered Indian music at home potentially.
Yeah.
For me, like whenever I talk to someone at the BBC or wherever when it comes to pitches, the one thing that I say is that there's been 3 acts that have influenced my Indianness in the UK, and that's the Beatles, the Prodigy, and Massive Attack.
Yep. I'll
Like
definitely go with
more than anyone brown, it's been those people, and that's a problem that has to be changed for future generations.
Well,
So yeah,
well, for me, Metallica is definitely there because they were hugely influential to me. So,
but not particularly Indian though.
yeah, clearly. So, do you remember the first time you used a Pro CD player at a gig? Yeah, I do remember. The first time I did was at my school socials.
Huh?
First,
You had
yeah.
CDJs there?
No, we didn't have CDJs, but we had a budget to actually hire some gear.
Okay.
Before that, we were basically paying on these Ahuja Studio Master massive fucking mixers, mono mixers. And that's the first time I used a professional CD player. And we used a Denon 2600. You remember those rack mount Denons?
Yes.
And they had
I have these.
Oh, you have, wicked. What's that?
Still cams.
The
They're
cams.
cam. They're really bad.
Okay, listen. my first ever professional mixer I ever had was a Cam, the grey one.
Mate, those were my first CD player, Cams. Wow. I never bought anything ever again because they were shit.
I could never afford CD players, so the only time, I bought turntables and I stuck that, but that's because I was working in a club, so they always had CD players. But yeah, I remember our school socials was the first time we could FAPS, exactly. Frank Anthony Public School in Bangalore.
You know what fapping means, right? It means masturbating.
But our school was called FAPS.
That's
it was
ridiculous.
It was a masturbating school.
I thought you were in Bangalore, not Delhi.
Bangalore, bro. Bangalore, yeah. Frank
Anthony
Delhi's all
Public
about
masturbation schools, right? Surely. I'm joking.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about Delhi. Hey, Aditya's Online Animal Factory. What's up, Addy? How you doing? Faps, wow, yeah. Hey, Prithvi, what's up? Everybody's laughing at us as always, Nerm. I think
it's
they're
the
like...
Faps jokes. It's totally fine. But I think that's probably what it is. I think we're just talking shit, which is quite nice.
Yeah,
but I think there's nuggets of good information in there as well, I feel.
Yeah. I hope so. I hope somebody's getting some positive info from all the shit talk we're doing. And it's all right.
Well, I mean, this is part of the series I'm doing every Wednesday, just getting drunk and talking to my friends. So
hey, but no, seriously,
perfect.
Kudos, man. Kudos on it, because it's actually a great way to spend an evening and just catch up and, chat.
Yeah.
I haven't seen your face in fucking forever, bro. So, I mean...
Yeah, but I can't see your face because you've got all this topiary growing all over it. I mean, it's good. It's good, but it's not like chili triangle good. You know what I'm saying?
Nobody can do that. Nobody can do that. I mean, no, come on. I mean, it's like your it's like patented to your face. You can know if anybody ever does that, I might sock them, because I'm like, no, you cannot.
It's a problem. It is a problem.
Yeah.
Dude, it's, you know what? I feel once privileged, but at the same time bereft, because no emojis can mimic it.
You need to make your own emoji.
I can't, man. Fuck that shit. I don't want it to be, man. I don't want other motherfuckers having this. My hairy triangle is my hairy triangle. It's my Indian man ownership business. It's my
you've got a little triangle there. I've got a little triangle here.
I mean, everyone's got that little triangle. Dude.
Fuck off, bro. Nobody else has this. If I didn't have a beard, I'd just have a triangle.
Oh yeah, that's true. That is true. That's like. Yeah. But to be fair, when you're shaving, you're quite beautiful. So it's like, no, I'm a man, really. It's like your assertion that no.
I got hair on my face.
I'm a man. I can grow hair on my face.
I got hair on my face.
Yeah, exactly. That's what that is. That's no fucking assertion of style. That's just sheer danger prevention. That's all it is. There's nothing to be proud of, dude.
Oh, no. There's too much shit talk happening over here.
Right. So we have a few minutes remaining. I think we should say goodbye. Or do you want to take more questions? Do you want to do a recall? What do you want to do?
It's your show, bro. I'm here. I'm your guest. So you tell me what you want.
Come on.
I'm fucking with you. Whatever.
Lockdown's changed all this shit. If you want to reconvene, we can hang up and reconvene, and you can take some questions, or we can call it a night. It's up to you.
Yeah. What's the time? It's like 12:30. So yeah, whatever you. Does anybody have any questions? I don't think anybody has any questions because everybody's probably drunk themselves. Yeah. So I'm cool with whatever you want. Yeah, let's call it. Yeah.
Let's call it. And I'll call you off this and talk shit at you. But thank you, brother. Appreciate this, man.
Pleasure, Nerm. Thanks so much, man. It's been fun. I mean, we need to do this more often, not just on fucking Instagram. Fuck Instagram,
no, but like actually
just keep in touch. Yeah. I mean, it was good talking the other day anyway, so we should just do that. Have more calls. Yeah.
What's the best pair of earphones? HD25s.
HD25s, exactly. There we go.
Done.
Sync.
Don't fuck with those. Amazing. Yeah. Okay, cool, man. Big love.
Big love, brother.
See you later, dude.
Yeah.